Like Part 3 Stardust Crusaders, Hirohiko Araki carried on his popular idea of including spiritual beings called stands that are linked to their users into Part 4 Diamond is Unbreakable. This means we have yet another band of stands ripe for ranking. Of course, at this point, I'm sure the majority of you know that Diamond is Unbreakable is my least favourite part of the entire series, or at least the first half of it, so I found it decently difficult to rank these efficiently as I wasn't a huge fan of a good chunk of the stands in this part. Now then, moving on from that controversial opinion, there are 27 stands in Diamond is Unbreakable, counting Killer Queen, Sheer Heart Attack and Bites to Dust as one stand, due to the latter two just being power-ups for Killer Queen. This is not a video where I rank the stands in order of power, it's a video where I'll be ranking all of them from my least favourite all the way up to my favourite. This is my own personal opinion. Your opinion will most likely be different to mine, so please refrain from posting hate in the comments if you disagree with me, or if you disagree with other commenters' opinions as well. I will talk a little bit about why I've placed a stand where I did, but I won't go into major detail as I don't want this video to be half an hour long. I'll be taking into account my personal enjoyment of the stand and its arc or arcs, as well as the stand's appearance, abilities, and user. Also, it goes without saying, but this video will have spoilers for Part 4, so if you've already read or watched Diamond is Unbreakable or you simply don't care about spoilers, continue the video. With that being said, let's begin with number 27. Starting off the list, we have the father of Keicho and Okuyasu. Their father was a follower of Dio, and when the vampire died, the seed in Mr. Nijimura's head burst and transformed him into the monstrous form we see him in during Diamond is Unbreakable. It's implied that Mr. Nijimura has a stand, as Dio attempted to recruit him during his search for a stand user who can recreate reality. The Nijimura father's stand ability is implied to have the ability to regenerate, effectively making the brother's father immortal. This stand's existence created a very sad backstory for the Nijimura family, but really it did not do anything positive. The regeneration ability may have worked very well if Mr. Nijimura hadn't been mutated into the ghastly form he is seen as. It's pretty useless, doing nothing but hindering Mr. Nijimura and his sons. The random baby that was found by Joseph and Josuke has the power to turn invisible, as well as turning anything in its stand's range invisible as well. I felt like Shizuka and her stand didn't add much to the story other than being a reason to bring Joseph and Josuke closer together. Invisibility is a very basic concept, not being overly entertaining to me personally. Knockoff Silver Chariot and its user, Son of Polnareff, was another boring stand and arc in my opinion. It gave Rohan another opportunity to shine, and since his stand Heaven's Door is not combat based, it allowed him to have a stand battle without having a close range combat enemy. This allowed for him to use his intellect and stand without having to worry about getting too close. It may have had its funny moments, however, the arc mainly bored me. Boy 2 Man was a pretty rubbish stand, and Ken Oyanagi didn't stand out to me at all. Kira Yoshihiro, the father of Kira Yoshikage, died from cancer before Diamond is Unbreakable began. His soul stayed in the real world as a ghost that retained his stand ability, Atom Heartfather. This stand is bound to a Polaroid camera, and the photos taken by this camera are also a part of the stand. Yoshihiro can reside within these photographs and can interact with the environment from inside the image. If the image gets damaged, the damage is transferred to the person causing the damage. This stand's ability has an interesting concept, and I enjoyed its first introduction. However, I feel it was underused later on in the series, only being used as a vehicle for Yoshihiro to travel around Morio from within the photo, creating stand users to try to kill the Joestar group and to help protect Kira. Cinderella is able to replace body parts for other body parts, basically having the ability to recreate a person's appearance. Tsuji Aya has a beauty parlor set up, where she uses this stand ability to help clients attain their idea of beauty. I wasn't a huge fan of Cinderella as a stand, and her arc did not interest me. It did have its tense moments, but other than that, it didn't really captivate me all that much. I did feel quite sorry for Aya, however, once Kira had gotten a hold of her. As Shigechi is one of my most disliked characters, as shown in my character tier list video, I also didn't really find his stand Harvest overly interesting either. Harvest was one of the first examples of a colony stand in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is a stand that is comprised of multiple units. The idea of a stand that is split into a multitude of small creatures which can all act individually was an interesting idea. Whilst they are fast and surprisingly have a decent amount of strength just in one unit, Shigechi mainly used his stand for greedy and selfish reasons, including looking for money and coupons. This stand isn't quite my least favourite in part 4, unlike Shigechi himself, but it's certainly not high up. Yukako is yet another character I'm not really a big fan of. However, her stand Love Deluxe seems perfect for a psycho like her, and her arc also gave me horror movie vibes, especially with the fact that her hair reminded me quite a bit of the hair on Kayako or Sadako from The Grudge and The Ring respectively. Whilst her stand was very basic, I did quite enjoy the arc where she kidnapped Koichi. Is he an alien, or does he have a stand? No one knows. Actually, I don't even think Mitaka truly knows either. However, his ability has been given a name by Araki, therefore I'm classing it as a stand ability. His ability lets Mitaka shapeshift into nearly any object he wants, leading to some humorous situations between Josuke and Rohan. Yet, it does have its limitations. Earth, Wind and Fire has potential to be a really strong stand ability that will probably never be further explored. Kobayashi's stand, the lock, can attach itself to a victim's chest whenever they feel a sense of guilt around the user. This physically and mentally weighs the victim down, whilst the lock grows bigger and bigger with every increase in guilt the victim feels. I felt Kobayashi was a bit of a greedy little man who could use people's mistakes against them in a really underhanded way. I was glad when he was beaten, and I didn't really enjoy the stand all that much. Its concept was good, but its arc, appearance and user were a little boring to me. Tonio's colony stand, Pearl Jam, is capable of healing the ailments of those who ingest one of the stand's units. At first, Tonio and his stand were made out to be misleadingly evil, creating tension and a lack of trust in the character. However, he turned out to be an alright guy who just wanted to help heal people with his cuisine. I felt like the arc created some of the funnier Okuyasu and Josuke moments, and I also enjoyed the tension and the twist of the arc. I also like Pearl Jam's ability, but we didn't really see much of it, so liking its ability and singular episode is about as far as it goes with this one. Surface had an ability to copy someone's appearance, voice, and mannerisms by just facing the person. It could then force the person whose appearance it copied to mimic Surface's movements perfectly, putting its victims in potentially fatal positions being unable to move. It can also trick people into thinking that it is the original person rather than a copy. I didn't mind the stand all that much, but the user and the way he used the stand didn't really captivate me. I realise I'm probably in the minority with my opinions on part 4, but I can also appreciate that so many people love this entire part. But for now though, let's move on. The first arc of part 4 reintroduced Jotaro into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where we saw him bring a photo of Angelo to Josuke. This first arc made me very interested in part 4, as the concept of Angelo made me feel like we had a nice long road of hunting down serial killers yet to come. However, Angelo didn't last long, and what followed him was not what I expected. Up until Kira's introduction anyway. I enjoyed Angelo's menacing appearance and the way he creepily dressed up as the milkman to get closer to Josuke's mother. His stand's ability also led to some moments that made me worry for Josuke and his family. Rightly so though, because Aqua Necklace ended up killing Josuke's grandpa. All in all, a very good opener to part 4 and a stand which had a menacing user and ability. The first colony stand to be shown in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Nijimura Keicho's stand, Bad Company, was a very unique and interesting new concept for a stand power. I actually didn't mind this stand all that much, as the concept of a colony stand was brand new. Plus, the user interested me by being the man roaming Morio creating stand users. The arc in general introduced Okuyasu and a sad story of their father. Whilst this may be the case, I liked other stands from part 4 more than this one. Tama the cat was reincarnated by his stand's ability after being hit by the stand arrow and dying from glass shards. I think one reason I enjoyed Stray Cat wasn't just the concept, but the first arc it was properly featured in. This arc helped evolve Kira Yoshikage's character a lot, proving that he is human like the rest of us, and he also wanted to protect Shinobu from Stray Cat, and he wanted to protect Shinobu from Stray Cat. The ability to shoot nearly invisible air bubbles is a truly dangerous ability, and I enjoyed watching the moments that Stray Cat featured in. This stand is a little different due to the fact it is an automatic stand which traps an occupant within itself. Watching Josuke, Okuyasu and Mitaka fight against Kanedaichi inside this tower was entertaining, and made me wonder just who was going to be the person left within Superfly unable to escape. The concept of the stand was unique for the time, and I generally liked its abilities and the fight revolving around it. I found Enigma really trippy, both in appearance and in the way its ability is executed. Enigma can seal objects, animals, or people inside pieces of paper. However, to activate this ability on people, the user has to have the victim display telltale signs of fear. Once this has been seen, Miyamoto Terunosuke can activate the ability. The way it looks when the ability is activated is really unique, and very reminiscent of MC Escher's work. Enigma's user was also one of the few enemies which did not join the crew afterwards, which was a refreshing change for Part 4. I'm quite happy placing Enigma at the number 12 spot. Whilst I'm not a huge fan of Koichi, his stand interests me quite a bit out of the Diamond is Unbreakable stands, and I think the reason for that is because it is the first stand capable of evolving. Evolving from Act 1 to Act 2 to Act 3, Echo's ability also evolves, seemingly changing completely at Act 3. I liked Echo's Act 1 and 2 due to the fact that writing words in Japanese katakana can then create actual sounds, and I found this really unique. However, the ability changed quite drastically once it evolved to Act 3, as it could increase the weight of its target, rendering them immobile. Once it evolved to Act 3, I wasn't overly keen on it, but Act 1 and 2 were definitely enjoyed. Now it's time for the top 10. Can you guess what stands might have made it into the top 10 so far? If you've been keeping track, I'm sure you have a few guesses. Let's get right into it. You might be shocked that Rat made it into the top 10. Honestly, I am a little bit as well. But its ability to melt anything that its barbed darts touch is a really gruesome and scary ability to fight off against, especially since they are controlled by two small rats that can easily evade detection and attacks. Now, everyone craps on Jotaro for being able to kill an immortal vampire with time-stopping abilities, yet cannot defeat a rat. Just remember, one mess up and Jotaro's flesh would have been melted right off. He had to be cautious, plus this was not Jotaro's part, this was Josuke's part, and Josuke needed more of the spotlight. Defending Jotaro against an enemy stand user would have pushed Josuke up in the spotlight quite a lot. Either way, I enjoyed Rat's scary ability, even if Bug Eaten was an odd enemy to face off against. Whilst Rohan is one of my favourite Diamond is Unbreakable characters, Heaven's Door is not my favourite stand by any means. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy its ability and the way Rohan can write nearly any command he wants into an enemy, which can be used for attack or defense. However, it really doesn't have any way to physically attack an enemy, but that's not the main reason I'm not a big fan of it. Its design is cool, being based off Rohan's own manga character, but I like other stands a lot more within Part 4. I always felt like Crazy Diamond had similarities to Dio's The World in appearance, but this might have just been Araki's style at the time. Crazy Diamond's ability is to restore objects or organisms back to a previous form from recent history. This comes in the form of returning an injured body part back to its previous state, healing the person, or fixing broken walls, returning them to their previous state. This stand is also limited in its own way, where its ability cannot be used on Josuke himself. Whilst I don't mind this stand at all, it's pretty mid-tier overall for me. Wait, what? I like Cheap Trick more than Crazy Diamond? Maybe not necessarily, however, remember I am basing this on the arcs and the interactions with other characters as well. Keeping that in mind, I really enjoyed the tension that Cheap Trick's arc created for Rohan, making him have to hide his back the entire time whilst Cheap Trick whispers in his ear. The stand may not be as cool looking or as badass as Crazy Diamond or other stands on this list so far, but its arc and the way it had me on the edge of my seat pushed it up to the number 7 position. Fungami Yuya's stand Highway Star had a very Egyptian appearance, reminiscent of a pharaoh, which grabbed my attention pretty quickly. Its ability to dismantle itself, splitting into multiple segments shaped like footprints, was quite unique at the time as well. These footprints chase down the target and suck out the life force energy, then gifting this energy to its user Fungami Yuya, who can also control this stand from a very long distance. The chase with Josuke and Highway Star reminded me a lot of the movie Speed, where if the bus slows down beyond a certain speed, a bomb will explode, killing everyone on board. In comparison, Josuke realized if he stayed above a certain speed, the stand could not catch him. Whilst Hermit Purple and Star Platinum were present in Part 3, and were therefore already used for rankings in Part 3, this is an entirely new part and entirely new ranking video. Therefore, I will now compare those stands to the rest of the Part 4 crew, as this ranking video is a separate entity to the Part 3 video. Hermit Purple, however, is pretty self-explanatory. It can create spirit photos, which Joseph did to create the photos of Angelo seen at the beginning of Part 4, and can also be used to grab objects from a distance. Of course, this stand was more prevalent in Part 3, however I do like Joseph as a character, and Hermit Purple is definitely better than a lot of the Part 4 stands in my opinion. Probably the stand with the most unexplored potential, the hand can erase space, supposedly transporting it to an unknown dimension. One theory I've heard online is things that get erased by this ability will be transported to the same dimension that Vanilla Ice's victims travel to in Part 3. However, we will probably never know. Okuyasu is one of the funniest characters in Part 4, and its stand is insanely powerful. I also enjoyed nearly every usage of the stand shown, even if its user is lacking a few brain cells. Now then, it's time for my top 3. At this point, maybe you've already guessed which stands have made it into my top 3 for Diamond is Unbreakable, and maybe you haven't. Either way, I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you are, it'd be awesome if you could hit that like button to let me know, and also subscribe for even more content like this. I also do stand analysis videos of various stands across the series, so make sure to check some of those out too if you feel like it. Now let's stop delaying and see which stand is my number 3 pick. The supposed main villain of Part 4 hopped around a few times as the first half went on. After Angelo and Keicho, we met the stand Red Hot Chili Pepper, which killed Nijimura Keicho and stole the stand arrow from him. The user of Red Hot Chili Pepper was a mystery for a while, and I really enjoyed not knowing who the user was. The stand itself was quite menacing and spoke for its user, Akira, whilst also creating some stand users at the same time. Akira gave me some horror movie vibes, especially when he phoned Jotaro in the hotel, threatening him to leave him alone. Akira himself, however, I felt was a little underwhelming, but the Frieza lookalike stand gave me quite a bit of enjoyment during its appearances. Poor Star Platinum just can't seem to make it to that number 1 spot. And yes, though my name is Bizarre Star Platinum, it is not my favourite stand. We saw a lot of Star Platinum in Part 3, and Jotaro's inclusion in Part 4 was one of the reasons I did enjoy aspects of it. Jotaro also being the one to actually take down Kira at the end was awesome as well, though I am a bit gutted Josuke did not get to take down his own part's main villain. Of course, the ability to stop time proved rather useful at times in this part as well. Now there is only one stand which has not been mentioned. Take a guess which one it is. I'll wait. You got it? Well, let's see if you're right. Of course, it's Kira Yoshikage's Killer Queen. This stand had so many badass moments, as well as having one of the best users in all of JoJo. Kira was also a very well-crafted character, being a serial killer who blended into society within a small Japanese town. Having killed multiple young women over the course of his life and remaining undetected, it only took one singular mistake for his entire life to spiral out of control. Killer Queen, along with its other abilities, Sheer Heart Attack and Bites the Dust, and its user, created many tense and badass moments, where at times I found myself even rooting for him slightly. Killer Queen's design, abilities, and user are probably all some of my favourites in all of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and it's thanks to Kira that I was able to mostly enjoy Diamond is Unbreakable's second half. That's everything for my Part 4 stands ranking video. Remember, you probably won't agree with my placements for these stands, but it's actually quite difficult to rank stands, especially when there are so many of them within a singular part. I don't necessarily hate any of the stands on this list, but to rank them I had to be a bit more critical. So please understand that until you do a ranking video for yourself, you might not fully understand how hard it can actually be. However, I am rather happy with the order I put these stands in. If you watched the entire video, thank you so much, and I do hope you enjoyed. What are your opinions on the Diamond is Unbreakable stands, and what are your top 3 stands from the part? Let me know in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video, then please consider subscribing to the channel for future JoJo content. Also, please hit the like button on this video if you want to see more stand analysis videos and ranking videos. If it gets, let's say, 1000 likes, I'll do a video ranking the part 5 stands. Also, click that bell and select all notifications of my uploads and posts to keep up to date with the channel and video releases. I appreciate you taking the time watching this video, but until next time, Bizarre Star Platinum, out.